Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson says that nearly 79 billion pesos may have been lost to ghost flood control projects since 2016.
Congressman Egay Erice believes that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, is dead following the resignation of Commissioner Babe Singson.
President Bongbong Marcos signs an executive order raising the base pay and subsistence allowance of military and uniformed personnel.
The UP Fighting Maroons triumphed over UST, booking their trip to the finals.
First in the news, Senator Ping Lacson drops a major finding. He said almost 79 billion pesos in flood control funds may have vanished into ghost projects since 2016. Here's our report.
79 billion pesos. That's the estimated amount that may have been lost to imaginary or ghost flood control projects since 2016. The figure, according to Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, is based on newly submitted data from the DPWH. From the agency's 13,000 flood control projects, 494 are reportedly non-existent. Lacson says the amount is staggering, a view shared by Senate Finance Committee Chairman Win Gatchalian.
Nasa 79 billion, still huge, considering na we're talking of yung naabot ng AMLAC so far, as announced by the President, nasa mga 12 billion pa lamang yung pros and accounts. And then si Alcantara, nag-restitute ng so far 110 million plus another 200 million in 2 weeks' time. Si Bernardo, I don't know, parang ang estimate ko at least 1 billion. Ang layo pa natin sa 79 billion.
Malaki, siyempre. No? 79 billion is ang laki yan. If you're talking about ang budget ng DPWH about at the height of mga 800, 900, that's 10% of DPWH budget. So malaki siya. But one ghost project is a ghost project. Kahit na isa lang yan, dapat hindi nangyayari yan. So hindi na maulit yan sa 2026 budget.
What's more alarming is that this figure covers only flood control projects. It does not yet include other infrastructure programs that could be also vulnerable to corruption.
Kasama substandard or ghost lang?
Ghost pa lang yan. Wala pang substandard, wala pa itong mga road projects, wala pa itong multi-purpose buildings. Flood control pa lang yan. So you can just imagine. Well, dapat magsipag yung AMLAC, yung Web of Accounts na amendment ng Anti-Money Laundering Act, dapat ma-execute or implement properly.
Lacson pointed out that the 100 million pesos returned by former DPWH District Engineer Henry Alcantara, along with another 200 million pesos he is set to return, is minimal compared to the 79 billion pesos believed to have been lost to ghost projects. This raises the larger question: what can be done about such a massive loss of public funds?
Ang isasuggest ko is for the Ombudsman to deputize not only the DOJ, but I think they should utilize even CSOs, academe, para magtulong-tulong, maghanap. Kasi talagang widespread We're not talking only of Oriental Mindoro and Bulacan. We're not only talking of La Union. We're not only talking of Candaba. All over the Philippines
Meanwhile, Senator Gatchalian maintains that these lapses will not happen again under the 2026 national budget.
Dito sa 2026 budget, kung makikita nyo yung committee report, merong old title tapos may revised title. Yung revised title, nandun na lahat ng mga station numbers, nandun na rin yung haba, even for irrigation projects saka farm to market roads. So kaya nakalagay na yun sa JA para number 1, malaman yung cost ng project. Number 2, malaman yung haba ng project. And at number 3, yung location ng project. So hindi na mangyayaring ghost project dahil sa batas pa lang, alam na yung location.
Lacson also emphasized that the Senate has already taken steps to prevent similar anomalies, including live streaming every period of amendments, allowing the public to see all budget revisions introduced by each senator.
House Senior Deputy Minority Leader Egay Erice believes that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, is dead following the resignation of Commissioner Babes Singson. Here's a report.
Even as Commissioner Rogelio Babe Singson appeared on Wednesday's live stream hearings of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, it turns out he has already resigned from his post. According to ICI Chairman Andres Reyes Jr., Singson will only remain with the commission until December 15. Although, this may still change depending on Malacanang. His resignation, Reyes said, was due to health reasons. There is still no word on who will replace him.
I would like to first announce the resignation of Secretary Babe Singson or Commissioner Singson effective December 15, 2025, but could be extended to December 31. He mentioned the very intense and stressful ICI work has taken its toll on this aging body.
Despite this, Reyes expressed confidence the ICI's work will not be affected.
We have been filing almost against everybody already. I think that's enough trust.
But that is the opposite of what House Senior Deputy Minority Leader and Caloocan 2nd District Representative Edgar Erice believes. For Erice, Singson's resignation marks the death of the ICI. Erice told Storycon he had been texting with Singson, who expressed disappointment over what he described as Malacanang's lack of support for the commission.
The ICI is dead. Yung text message niya, sabi niya sa akin, why would I risk my life and my family just to solve Malacanang's problem?
Erice added that Singson even described the ICI as a punching bag.
Sabi ko, baka lumabas dyan, parang washing machine kayo. Sabi niya, hindi lang washing machine, punching bag.
Recall that in a privileged speech last October, Erice was the first to reveal that an ICI member was contemplating resignation. He did not name the official at the time, but said the member had begun losing hope in the ongoing flood control scandal investigation.
Sabi niya po that without contempt powers, we might as well just task the NBI and the Ombudsman to do the investigation. Hinihingi natin sa ating Pangulo na i-certify ito. At kung kinakailangan natin mag-special session, gawin po natin ito.
Both the House and Senate have pending proposal to grant additional powers to the ICI, but Malacanang appears lukewarm to the idea. Malacanang has also yet to issue a response regarding Singson's resignation.
And for more updates from the ICI, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, what's the latest over there?
Magandang umaga, Angela at Diego. No, ngayong araw nga nagkakaroon ng press conference itong si nagbitiw na dating DPWH Secretary at ngayon ICI Commissioner na si Rogelio Singson. Kung matatandaan natin sa ulat nga health reason ang naging dahilan nito sa kanyang pagbibitiw at yung edad nga raw at dagdag pa actually kahapon diyan ni ICI Chairperson Andres Reyes parang hindi raw sanay sa ganitong intensity ng trabaho and yung demand itong si dating DPWH Secretary Babe Singson. Kaya naman ito ang dahilan ng kanyang pagbibitiw. Though magiging epektibo pa yan December 15 at maaaring magtapos or ma-extend hanggang December 31.
Meron bang tugon ng ICI themselves doon sa sinasabi ni Congressman Egay Erice na aside of course sa kanyang health reasons ang kanyang pagbitiw dyan sa ICI ay yung usapin na he is frustrated dahil kulang nga sa power itong ICI?
Hindi pa natin natatanong yan, Angela, pero kasama sana yan sa nais nating malaman. Pero kung matatandaan natin sa trail nitong Independent Commission for Infrastructure, talagang malaki yung tanong ng taong bayan sa kapangyarihan at pangil nito. Kagaya na lamang ng ilang mga resource persons na dumating dito. Yung ilan ay mga voluntaryo lamang ang kanilang pagdating at patungkol yan sa mga nauna ng testamento sa Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Wala silang contempt powers. Ang kaya lamang nilang gawin ay bilang isang fact-finding body at magrekomenda ng mga kaso at mga findings nito, sang-ayon sa mga findings nito sa Office of the Ombudsman. So, Ombudsman pa din ang mag-iimbestiga at later on ay magpa-file ng kaso sa Sandigan Bayan. So, sa ganoong aspekto pa lamang or sa pananaw pa lamang, Angela, kulang talaga itong kapangyarihan ng ICI.
Alright, abangan natin kung sino yung maaaring ipalit dito kay Babe Singson. For the meantime, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reporting from ICI headquarters in Taguig. Now, let's listen kasi nagkakaroon po ng ongoing press con dyan sa ICI. Let's watch this.
So, with that, there's now in place, with the initiative of Chairman Andy Reyes, the creation of a technical working group that met, I believe some of you were present during the early portion of the TWG, where all the agencies were agreed to deadlines, no, for feature. Kailan yan? You have to submit within 7 days to the agencies involved. So, heavily dependent on AMLA for feature at saka yung mga decisions so that air assets could be taken back to the Philippines. Yung mga ganun discussions. No? Now, so with both the legal, as I mentioned, na medyo matatagalan, administrative measures become very, very important. And this has to be reported regularly to the public para hindi naman nila parang walang nangyayari. No? But hopefully, by now, the public understands that hindi ICI yung magpapakulong. We are part of the legal process. Ours, by EO 94, we help in the investigation, prepare cases so that we can refer them to the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman reviews them for filing. Now, with that said, what ICI needs now is a strong team to go over boxes of documents. I think you must have seen boxes being delivered here. So they have to now be processed so that they can be looked into individually and who were the people responsible for whatever is the finding in those cases. We are very appreciative of the support given to us by PNP AFP because they provided some 64 ground investigation teams to ICI, which ICI does not have. Up to today, I think wala pang nagsusweldo dyan sa mga volunteers dito. Now, okay, so that's the kind of work that is urgently needed by ICI. In addition to the urgency of both houses passing the new ICI version. So, I hope people understand that ICI on its own cannot solely carry the burden. We need the support of other government institutions, particularly at this time, both houses of Congress, the Senate and the lower house. So we are appealing to leadership of the House and the Senate to please pass that before the year ends. Okay. Now, aside from all of what I've said, which is a very stressful situation, as you probably know, I'm here almost every day, Monday to Friday, early in the morning till late afternoons. What I thought was going to be a commission work, which means when there are hearings, you're here, but that's not the case. Because as an engineer, I have to study all the applicable laws that are related to ICI hearings. Now, so because of the stress, my 77-year-old body cannot take it anymore. That's the other half of the situation. I've been in and out of the hospital. I just came from a medical workout this early, so alam niyo na, pagka nag-medical workout ka, jeta ka ng 10 hours, no? Maaga kang nagigising, blood extraction. This is the first time in my life that I've been asked to take maintenance medication for heart, high BP, high cholesterol, high creatinine, name it, everything is red flag in my body. Ayan, may tumatawag na naman, media din. So please try to understand that it's not that I don't want to serve. It is just that my body and also the stress on my family, we are not used to this heavy stress, including heavy security for the family's safety. So I hope, and I wish that people will understand the reason for my resignation. I feel that I've done what I have to do for ICI, but I have to also answer to the needs of my family, family concerns, and my own personal life. I want to get back my privacy. Hindi na akong makagalaw ng hindi na re-recognize sa labas, ano? Kahit na i-AI ko niya yung mukha, ganun pa rin. No? So, just to put the record on straight, I have submitted my irrevocable resignation, which takes effect December 15. But I have promised Chairman Andy Reyes that I will make myself available, hopefully not beyond December 31st, but at any point in time that there's any need for my services in terms of technical, marami na lang may contribute sa legal, no? So I'll make myself available. That's what I committed to the ICI commissioners. So with that, I'm open to questions. Sige, Joseph, ikaw muna.
Sir, I mean, yung nagsasabi kasi, sir, na it has something to do with the output of the ICI in terms of maybe people who are recommended charge.
What do you mean?
For example, may mga lawmakers, devices. How do you find the findings of the ICI yesterday with regard to the senators? Do you agree with that, or if it were up to you, it would have been a stronger recommendation?
No, as I said, I will leave that matter to the lawyers. No? Ayaw ko namang panunahan yung mga former justice. Our chairman himself has been through this. We are surrounded by lawyers. Our executive director himself has been in the Supreme Court. So, as an engineer.
That is the ongoing press con at the ICI. Currently speaking is newly resigned commissioner or member of the ICI, Rogelio Babes.
Effective December 31.
Yeah, and explaining the reason behind his resignation because a lot of people are talking about it yesterday and there were a lot of reasons, kanya-kanyang mga sinasabi sila tungkol sa kanyang pag-resign. But here you go, si Babe Singson himself is explaining more on sinasabi niya family matters and yung health niya.
Baka may frustration at the end of the day, 77 na si former DPWH Secretary and also Commissioner. So sabi niya ay gusto niya magpahinga.
Yeah.
And he's been in and out pala of the hospital.
He did also say that ICI needs what ICI needs now is a strong team to go over boxes of documents. No? Isa yan sa mga sinabi niya. And hopefully, he is appealing, actually, he's been appealing na sana maipasa nga itong ICIA, no? Para mabigyan ng mas maraming kapangyarihan o mas makapangyarihan ang ICI. No? So by now, sinasabi niya, alam na ng tao na hindi sila pwede ang magkaso, but only referral, no? Recommendation for the Ombudsman to file cases against these corrupt officials.
Okay, Vice President Sara Duterte's performance ratings have held steady while that of President Marcos have been hammered by the flood control scandal. The latest survey published by WR Numero, conducted from November 21 to 28, found that public satisfaction for the president has dropped to a new low, with only 21% saying they think he's done very well. In contrast, Vice President Sara Duterte's numbers have held steady, with 43% approving of her performance. Only 23% said they didn't approve. while 34% said they weren't sure.
Joining us now is Cleve Arguelles, President and CEO of WR Numero, to help us understand the latest WR Numero survey. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Cleve. Thanks for joining us. Nakamute po kayo. We can't hear you. Let's try that again. Good.
Thank you for having me today.
Alright, so let's break it down. Ano ba tong naging pinaka-question ditong sa survey na ito at ito ang lumabas?
Yes, so this is part of our quarterly regular questions that we filled in our national survey. Tinatanong natin yung ating mga kababayan across the country, how do they describe the performance of the two top officials of the country, the president and the vice president, as they perform their roles respectively. And the results, as you've just discussed, is that we find that the president's performance ratings is at its lowest at 21%. This is lowest since we started doing this survey, since it took office actually in 2022.
So specifically, when you say yung ratings or yung barometer nito, it's the performance of the president mismo ang bumagsak in general of how he's handling the corruption issues.
Yes, so this is a general question in terms of his performance as a president. But we know that most recently, ang latest developments is that we have this flood control scandal. And in fact, nung last State of the Nation address niya, we did a survey right after it. Nung August, there was a slight bump, may slight increase for the president.
Yeah.
So it actually increased yung kanyang performance from 29% nung April, nag-increase ito to 35% in August. But unfortunately, now, because of the same scandal that he himself, siya yung unang nag-expose, we find that the public is penalizing him, or they're saying that the performance that they've been seeing so far is not up to their standards. So hence the decline to 21%.
Yung sa lines niya of kung saan siya nagde-decline, may impact ba yung mga rallies sa kanyang approval rating?
I think there should be an impact. I think it's very much related because we also actually asked in the same survey that we did, this was fielded 21st to the 28th of November, we asked them whether they support the November 30 anti-corruption protest. And we find that as many as 59% of Filipinos said that they support the anti-corruption protest last November 30. So kung, if you find 6 out of 10 Filipinos supportive of the protest, I suspect that it has something to do also why they do not like or they're not happy with the president's performance.
Well, I was wondering kung ginawa itong survey also in the days nung lumabas yung mga video statements of Zaldico. And do you think it also affected yung numero ng presidente because of that?
I think that's also a likely case, given that na tutok naman yung ating mga kababayan on the latest developments on the flood control issue. But we also find in the same national survey that we did that actually I think more or less Filipinos now are quite confused on who to really assign blame on, or who to really say as the primary accountable or responsible for this anomalous flood control projects. So Filipinos are divided. 31% are saying it's the president himself that should be made personally accountable. But another 31% are saying that it's actually the officials of the agencies involved, DPWH, for example, and even the budget department. And another 28% naman, they are putting the blame on the contractors, like the Diskaya couple. So I think there's no consensus yet, but definitely for some of us, some of the Filipinos, we find accountability at the president's desk.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that because seeing the survey right now, malaki yung porsyento ng hindi pa sigurado, There's 23%, if I'm not mistaken, doon sa presidential preferences and 30.6% doon sa vice presidential preferences. So what do you make of it? Why do you think na ang laki pa rin, nung hindi pa rin sigurado when in fact we've seen the rallies, etc., And a lot of people talaga are saying things about this, the whole scandal, and seeking for accountability.
Yes, actually, you're right. This is a very important part of the story as well on the popularity ratings of both the president and vice president. That a big number of Filipinos, 32% for President Marcos, 34 naman for Vice President Sara, are saying that they're unsure on how to assess their leadership performance so far. And to me, what this tells us is that there's a good number that we can call or describe as the middle forces or the median voter, right? That they're still on a wait and see attitude on how to really assess our top two leaders. And what's interesting here is that for the past quarters that we have been doing this survey, what we find also is that the direction of how Filipinos are moving is that they actually first go to the unsure phase bago sila they change their minds. Halimbawa, if they started being satisfied with the president's performance at the beginning of the year, some of them will start to report being unsure in the next quarter before another quarter that they turned out to be dissatisfied na. So there's that process, I think, that Filipinos are really assessing on the basis of the progress or the lack of progress, if you will, on the issues of the day, including for now the corruption issue.
It's interesting you mentioned yung middle forces, no? Kasi it's been talked about a lot this last 3 to 4 weeks about the tipping point would be the middle ground, no? And well, let's get straight to the point. Sabi nila, mga Pinklawan holds a majority of the pink wave. How critical is this mass kung saan sila papanig in the next few months?
Yes. We also measure in our survey the number of Filipinos that identifies themselves as supportive of specific political factions. We call this the measure of factional partisanship.
Yes.
34% identify as supporters of the Dutertes, so they're the biggest here so far. 15% with the Marcos, 12% with the opposition, broadly defined as identified with former VP Leni Robredo, Senator Ontiveros, and Senator Bam Aquino. And then the rest actually, and this is the biggest chunk, 39% saying that they're independents. No? So what's very important here, I think part of the developing political landscape as well is that for the majority of Filipinos, they're in this camp, the independent camp, no. So kung ano man yung proposal on how to get out of this mess of the flood control issue, whether there are calls for resignation, there are calls naman for a transition council, there are calls to tighten the investigation, ibang usapin pa what's happening in the ICI, for example. At least for 4 out of 10 Filipinos, they haven't still, they have yet to make up their mindset who to support. No? So middle forces talaga pa to na nag-aantay who to really support and choose in this fragmented political landscape.
Could it be itong sinasabing independent na to, ang mga not really ayaw kay Marcos pero ayaw din kay VP Sara? Pwedeng ganun ba ang pag-iisip nila?
Yeah, in fact, ayaw nila doon sa tatlong major political factions, if you will, in the country right now. They don't identify with the Dutertes, not with the Marcoses as well, but also not with the traditional opposition. So they're really saying that out of all these options, I'm saying that I'm not choosing any of these three, and choosing to be independent.
Well, on to the Duterte block naman, Cleve, we see na majority of the percentage doon sa survey ay puro mga Duterte block pa rin. Does this mean na because super taas ng porsyento nila even before, na ngayon nakikita natin na kahit bumababa ito ay mataas pa rin? Ganun ba yon?
So I think it remains, what's clear here is that it remains to be a really big constituency, those who identify themselves as pro-Duterte. And a lot of it really is concentrated in Mindanao, no? Halimbawa, 69% of people from Mindanao say that they are pro-Dutertes. And this is also the region where the number of independents it's actually at its lowest then, only 24%. But in the other regions outside of Mindanao, almost half, 45 to 43% are independent. So what you can see here is that the number of Filipinos saying that they're pro Duterte, it's quite stable because most of it is drawn from a specific region of the country. And sabi nga nila, no, if it's a solid support, no, then you see that it's really manifesting at the national level.
Yeah.
Whereas in other places across the country, the support for different factions are quite dispersed. And in fact, half of those sinasabi pa nga nila they're independent. Kaya the other factions are smaller compared to the Dutertes. But you can see here also that the other way to look at it is that there are 3 out of 10 Filipinos saying that they are siding or supporting the Dutertes, but the rest, the 7 out of 10, are happy to side with other factions or in fact declare themselves as independent.
Clive, itong away na magkapatid ni PBBM tsaka ni Senator Amy, does it affect the Marcos base per se? And yung traditional Marcos base, kanino napupunta? Sa President or sa kay Senator Amy?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at our survey numbers, and that's kasi that's also an interesting question for me personally, whether Senator Amy Marcos as a sway pa with the Marcos supporters we asked the question na sino yung tingin nila are the poorly performing senators out of all the incumbent senators. And among the pro Marcos supporters, the top responses are Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Amy Marcos, and Senator Bato de la Rosa. Magkakadikit sila, 26 to 28%. So I think it's safe to say that the Marcos voters do not necessarily identify with Senator Amy now, no, given that yun nga, meron silang away ng kanyang kapatid na ating Pangulo.
Kumbaga, it doesn't follow.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was wondering also kung anong age bracket and location yung pinagawa ng survey, because before, kasi I remember during the midterm elections, the surveys were different from the result. And nakita doon sa mga pag-aaral na more on mga Gen Zs and millennial yung bumoto at that time. That's why it's different doon sa naging survey. So what was the age bracket here when you did this survey?
Yes, so for this particular survey, we mirrored the proportion of the national population. This is quite different kasi pag election, you have to also get the right number of people who will be voting on election day, diba?
Right.
It's a bit more challenging. But in the case of this particular national survey, all adult respondents are eligible, whether they're registered voters or not. So it's really a measure of national public opinion.
So Clive, quickly lang, no? A last question on my part. Moving forward, do you see this flood control or corruption issue will play a big role in how the numbers of the president or maybe the vice president pan out approaching 2028?
Yes, I think this will be the defining issue for ordinary Filipinos in terms of how they will continue to assess both the president and the vice president, but especially the president because he's the chief executive. So I think the attitude here is to see whether there will be sincere and serious progress on the investigations and eventually arrest of those who are involved in the flood control scandal. And if the president fails to do that and to really demonstrate the fairness and the seriousness of the actions against those corrupt officials, I think he will continue to suffer from a withdrawal of public support. On the case of the vice president naman, syempre, the challenge here is that if there's any indication sooner or later that she might be implicated or people around her might be implicated, I think she will also suffer the same fate. But as long as she is able to distance herself from the issue, I think she will remain at the same level until 2028 if there won't be any big developments. Kasi I've heard that there is a plan to also file the impeachment case against her in 2026. So that might change her numbers as well.
We will continue to get updates from you regarding this. But for the meantime, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. Clive Arguelles, President and CEO of WR Numero. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on Mo News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The low-pressure area located east of eastern Visayas developed into Tropical Depression Wilma. For the latest, Pag-asa weather specialist Charmaine Varilla is now joining us.
Yes po, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And sa ngayon po, inaasahan na nga natin na maaari na maging isang bagyo yung binabantayan nating low pressure area pa sa ngayon. Tulingayang namataan sa layong 705 kilometers silangan ng Eastern Visayas. At ito nga nasabing low pressure area or magiging bagyo pa lamang sa ngayon ay inaasahan nga natin na maaari nga maglandfall dito sa may Eastern Visayas sa Southern Luzon ng bukas hanggang sa Sabado. At tumataas nga rin yung tsansa nito na maaaring dumaan sa kapuluan ng Visayas at kalupaan ng Southern Luzon sa pagitan nga ng Biyernes hanggang Sabado. Kaya pinag-iingat na po yun natin yung ating mga kababayan sa mga malalakas na mga pag-ulan dyan. At kasalukuyan pa nga rin pong nakaka-apekto ang Northeast Monsoon o hanging amihan sa may Northern at Central Luzon. At nga ngayon yung nagdadala ng mga makulimlim na panahon na may mga pag-ulan sa may Cagayan Valley, Car, Aurora at Quezon. Samantalang dito naman sa Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, Northern Samar, Eastern Samar at Samar, asahan din ng maulap na kalangitan at mga kalat-kalat na mga pagulan at pulupulong mga pagkidlat at pagkulog dahil sa epekto ng shear line. Samantalang dito sa Metro Manila at nalalabing bahagi ng ating bansa, asahan pa rin nga yung bahagyang maulap hanggang sa maulap na kalangitan at mga pulupulong mahihinang mga pagulan. At yan ang latest natin mula dito sa Pag-asa Weather Forecasting Center, Charmaine Varilla, nag-uulat.
Charmaine, ito bang Wilma na ito ay ano yung mas dala niya? Mas malalakas na ulan o mas malalakas na hangin?
Sa nakikita po natin, no, ay mas babantayan yung mga paulan nito kasi kung sakali man po na kakabit yung shear line dito, for sure po malalakas na mga pag-ulan sa silangang bahagi nga po ng Central Luzon and Southern Luzon yung aasahan. Kaya ngayon pa lamang po ay nag-i-issue na rin tayo ng mga weather advisory na kung saan makikita na nga natin yung mga areas na merong mga malalakas na mga pag-ulan.
So when do we experience the peak of this bagyo?
So, ma-experience po natin yung peak na to, starting nga po yan ng up until weekends. And pagdating nga po ng mga bandang Linggo to Lunes, papalabas na po yan ng kalupaan ng ating bansa.
Approaching the New Year na tayo, no? So, ilan pa ang na-expect natin na bagyo and anong area most likely ang laging maapektuhan?
Yes po, no? So, may ina-expect pa rin tayo na isang bagyo kasi for this month, 1 to 2 lang po yung estimate natin. And kung titingnan din po natin yung ating kung titingnan natin yung track nga nung parang climatology ng mga bagyo pag ganitong buwan, more on dito talaga sa mas mababa Southern Luzon, Visayas, and northern parts ng Mindanao talaga yung nakikita nating mga possibly na may mataas na chance na daanan. Dahil nga po yan sa pagbugso na ng Northeast Monsoon ngayong buwan at sa susunod pa na 2 buwan, expect na po natin na mas mababa yung track ng bagyo.
Charmaine, medyo lumalamig na ngayon, no? So ano yung peak temperature na nararamdaman natin dahil sa amihan?
Sa ngayon po, nakaka-record na tayo ng mga mabababang temperature dito, especially nga dito sa may Cagayan. However, ay hindi pa dito sa may Central Luzon, ay hindi pa ito yung peak po ng ating amihan, no? Kasi nakikita, usually ang peak po talaga by February o mga ganong months po. So, sa ngayon, maglalaro lang po yung temperature natin. Sa ngayon, umaabot na po ito ng 24, 31, maaaring bumaba ng 23, mga ganon po.
Okay.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. Pag-asa Weather Specialist, Charmaine Varilla. So, yan ang aabangan natin dyan sa magiging bagyo.
February pa. One more bagyo this year, tapos February pa ang peak ng amihan. So, if you remember, di ba, time and again, December, may isa lang laging malakas eh.
But hopefully, sana ito, magpa-pray tayo na sana malusaw siya eh.
Yeah. Alright, let's move on. Davao City 1st District Representative Pulong Duterte said he is open to the Independent Commission for Infrastructure's investigation into flood control projects in his district. In a statement, Duterte stressed that he has nothing to hide. This came after ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino urged the ICI to look into 4.4 billion pesos worth of flood control contracts implemented in Davao City from 2019 to 2022. Tino, citing records from the Department of Public Works and Highways, pointed to possible irregularities, including double funding, mislocated projects, shortened implementation periods, and potential overpricing.
Oh, but after this, earlier today, si Duterte declines his ICI investigation.
Nang-decline na.
Oo. This is, sino tong pinag-uusapan natin?
Paulo Duterte.
Oh yeah, so this one, si Representative, First District Representative Paulo Duterte has declined the Independent Commission for Infrastructure invitation to appear in its probe into alleged irregularities.
Right after he said he's open.
Oh, I think this is statement from yesterday, but this time, this is earlier today, no? Sanabi niya, in the letter to ICI Chair Andres Reyes Jr., Duterte argued the commission, as part of the executive branch, cannot summon a sitting lawmaker and called its request vague and ambiguous. So sabi niya, he also accused the ICI of ignoring allegations involving President Marcos, his family, and former Speaker Martin Romualdez, claiming the administration is using the inquiry to harass him and Vice President Sara Duterte ahead of 2028. So, yun ang sinasabi rin ni now retired member ng ICI, Babe Singson. Ang hirap talaga pag ng ICI because you don't have enough powers to summon people. So ngayon, you can decline, 'di ba? So tulad nito, president na to kumbaga president na to, 'di ba, doon sa iba pang mga susunod na iimbitahan ng ICI na pwede pala silang humindi.
At least kung wala pa yung act sa Congress, meron silang gawin parang yung binigay nila sa PCGG na medyo may kapangyarihan ng PCGG compelling people to attend. I don't know how they did it before, pero na-compel nila a lot of people to attend yung hearings, and they had very strong sequester powers also. So pag-aralan nila yung how to go about that. Pero ang bilis naman, yesterday okay, ngayon ayaw. Tapos imbes na sagutin yung allegation, ituturo ibang tao.
So you can see yung frustration also talaga ni Babe Singson, na parang nakita nagiging punching bag na lang tong ICI because people are saying, asan na yung kaso?
Well, we want them
when in fact, we know, ito lang talaga yung limitation ng ICI.
Well, we want them to succeed at all costs because ayaw natin ma-let go tong corruption issues na to.
Now, the question is ICI still okay or dead, as Elise would say?
I don't think
now, President Bongbong Marcos has signed Executive Order 107, raising the base pay and subsistence allowance of military and uniformed personnel over the next 3 years. The updated pay schedule will be implemented in 3 tranches, starting at January 1 of 2026, 2027, and 2028. The EO covers personnel from the BND, DILG, Coast Guard, Bucor, and NAMRIA. All uniformed personnel will also receive a higher subsistence allowance of 350 pesos per day, up from 150 pesos, Malacanang says. The adjustments aim to recognize the vital role of uniformed services and to maintain a competent and agile workforce.
Of course, sabihin ng iba,
what is the timing?
Coming off these coup rumors and destabilization, biglang ito bibigay mo. Well, we're not saying they don't deserve it. They do deserve it,
Of
diba?
course, people will always question the timing.
There are a lot of sectors also in society na kailangan din ng pagtaas ng sweldo. Yung mga teachers natin,
yeah, I remember
mga nurses.
Few years ago, during the term of PBBM pa rin, nagkaroon din ng parang konting rumor regarding yun nga sa parang hindi nagugustuhan yung pamumuno ni PBBM, and then biglang nagkaroon ng meeting with then House Speaker Martin Romualdez with the uniformed personnel.
They deserve it, no doubt about that, but a lot of our workers also deserve it, di ba? Yung nursing sector, medical sector.
And this came
teachers.
after nung nagkaroon siya ng talk with AFP, di ba? Constitution over personal interest, yun yung mga sinasabi nila.
So parang, are you trying to ensure na you'll make it through your term, di ba?
Parang ganon. So that's why it questions the timing of this release. But
all right, don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The UP Fighting Maroons edged out the UST Growling Tigers 82-81 in a thrilling UAAP men's basketball Final Four clash. The victory secures UP's 5th consecutive finals appearance. Terence Fortea sank a crucial three-pointer with 48 seconds remaining, while Harold Alarcon led UP with 22 points. Meanwhile, in the other semifinal, the De La Salle Green Archers defeated NU 87-77, forcing a do-or-die Game 2 in their series. Jacob Cortez scored 13 points and Mike Phillips contributed a double-double with 12 points and 17 rebounds. UP will now await the winner of the La Salle NU matchup. Yun, no? Lasal. Siyempre, Lasal tayo dito. Sorry na lang. But hindi sila in-expect na umabot ng ganito kalayo kasi ang daming injuries sa lineup nila roster. But si Mike Phillips nga ang lumitaw na naging hero dito. Kasi early on in the season ng UAAP, if you remember, two of their starters ng Lasal went down with certain injuries. Pero ngayon nakabalik na lahat. But the mere fact na they went as far as they have with a depleted lineup early on, di ba? Tapos naka-recover ngayon.
Good comeback, ika nga.
Good
Pero
comeback,
yun nga, so magkakaroon sila ng do or die later. Later
Yes,
ba?
yes.
Lasal
Game 2.
Lasal and NU.
Game 2.
Kumbaga, ang nag-aantay na lang is UST ng kalaban.
So,
UP pala, sorry.
UP na sila Jovi. Jovi.
Now, with the Southeast Asian Games just days away, Team Philippines is making its final push. The Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association says preparations are in full swing as the country readies one of its biggest athletics delegations yet. Mobile Journal Denise Valdez-Sancho has the report.
With the 2025 Southeast Asian Games just days away, the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association is making its final push, fine-tuning preparations and setting expectations as the country gears up for one of its biggest delegations yet. The Philippine Athletics team will field a total of 61 athletes, with most of the teams set to fly out on December 9, with competitions running from December 11 to 16, and from sprints and hurdles to pole vault and long-distance events. The Philippines is bringing a strong blend of experienced veterans and promising young talents. For the first time since 2023, race walking is also back on the program.
So we have now we have 3 athletes competing in that event. We have the Philippine record holder Carlos Diimos, young very race walker Seb Placido, and also a promising athlete Bianmar de la Cruz.
Leading the charge is two-time Olympian EJ Abiena, fresh off a gold medal performance at the Atletang Ayala Pole Vault Challenge. Abiena enters the SEA Games holding both the Asian and national record of 6 meters and comes in with a season best of 5.8. He will be joined by 4 more Olympians who solidify the country's push for podium finishes. After finishing the last edition with 4 gold, 10 silver, and 8 bronze medals in 47 events, the Philippines is determined to raise the bar. But behind the lineup is months of quiet, consistent work.
We made sure to plan a bit earlier. Also, we ensured to have like a SEA Games training camp. So we started late September until now. This year we're positive and prepared to compare to the previous one.
With the team on its way to Bangkok, Atafat reminds fans that their support means a lot to the athletes.
We ask for your continued trust, support, and prayers for our athletes. So win or lose, your encouragement, all the Filipino fans out there means a lot to them.
Kapatid Denise Valdez-Sancho, we are One News.
So yan, let's talk about muna before we go quickly about yung yung mga developments sa ICI. This is a critical turning point this next few days approaching January because even if sabihin na natin walang other motive si Commissioner Singson about resigning, syempre ang optics nito is may flaw ang ICI. Like ang isang glaring flaw is pinapatawag si Congressman Paulo Duterte. Siyempre, trabaho ng ICI to look into it Kasi may allegations dyan Pero humindi. How does the ICI go about their job of recommending properly?
Kaya nga sabi ko, magiging president na to sa ibang mga iniimbitahan Diba? Like na sitting congressman and sinasabi nga nila na maraming mga congressmen allegedly ang sabwat or kasabwat dito sa mga flood control scandal na ito. And also, it's good to note yung mga sinabi before na, di ba yung time, unang-una nag-resign si Mayor Benji Magalong. The issue there was he said he thinks he struck a nerve. Diba? Pero ang sinasabi ng Malacanang is because parang they want to look at the cases o yung ibang mga issues linking kay Bagyo Mayor
Magalong.
'di ba, doon sa mga ibang mga yung netting issues
Yeah.
doon sa Baguio. And then right now, of course, a lot of people are asking, meron bang nasasakal ba si Babe Singson doon sa issue ng kung meron siyang hinahabol na big fish, 'di ba, yung mga ganon. Meron ba silang kumbaga parang kulang na talaga sila sa power nila pagdating dito sa
Yung
ICI?
umiikot-ikot na usap-usapan is yung pagiging punching bag ng
Yun.
ICI.
Or did he encounter political interference? Yung mga ganon.
I would like to, I'm inclined to believe may isang dyan, deep inside him na personal reason naging punching bag. Isipin mo, may lumitaw sa isang interview nila, pangalan, for example, ni Pulong Duterte. Na yun, since lumitaw siya as part of the issue, papatawag mo ngayon. Hindi mo ngayon mapatawag, hindi mo magawa ng case finding or case build-up na recommendatory sa ombudsman, magagalit ngayon ng public sa ICI. Nagiging sila, tagasalo. In other words, parang teka lang, bakit kami, di ba? We're a branch created by the President.
It's also good to note yung sinabi ni Babe Singson na sa dyaryo may budget sila ng 41 million. Pero in reality, wala yung budget.
Wala actual.
We need to address that as well.
Yes, Madam President. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angelo Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. Kapatid, we are one you.
All sides, all the time.